Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and this is my review of episode 6 of season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks. And this is probably my favorite episode of this whole season so far because, first of all, it actually feels like a sequel to Deep Space Nine. We get to see Grand Negos Rom and his wife Leeta, voiced by the same actors who played them in Deep Space Nine, and we get to see Ferengi, and because it's all a cartoon, then they are able to show us many places on the planet and all the kind of stuff that they couldn't really do in Deep Space Nine because the most we ever saw of Ferengi was a few matte paintings and a few locations like in small sets in small rooms, and yet here we see whole cities, we see streets, we see museums, casinos, restaurants, hotels. We see a whole bunch of places. And they also made it like a satire of humanity today. Like they show us shows on TV that look like today, and they kind of poke fun at all kind of stuff. And so that made it all funny and entertaining. And it felt like an actual sequel to Deep Space Nine with additional world building. Ferengener now wants to join the Federation. And so it feels like an actual continuation of the good old Star Trek universe. The episode begins like many episodes of this season with that strange alien ship attacking all kinds of random ships in the galaxy, and this time it's a Ferengi ship, and we see some lower decks of the Ferengi who are angry about the Grand Negos giving up weapons trading and all of that, and they seem to have some kind of smaller version of the Genesis device. So I guess maybe it's a good thing they get attacked by that strange alien ship, which now it looks much bigger than it did before. I guess in comparison with other ships it looked much smaller. So I thought it's the size of a Federation shuttle, but apparently it's much bigger than that, and we still don't know anything at all about it. And someone in my comments said that this ship might be from the Mirror Universe because it looks very similar to that Agonizer device from the original series. But why would anyone build a ship to look like that device? Doesn't really make sense. And also the technology in the Mirror Universe is roughly on the same level as in the normal one, so how come this ship is so advanced? Just because it's from there wouldn't really explain it. That's why I thought it must be from the future, especially when I thought it's a really small ship that is more powerful than bigger ships. But now apparently it's not as small as I thought compared to this Ferengi ship, so I don't know. They don't reveal anything at all about it yet. So anyway, it destroys the Ferengi ship, then we cut to credits, and after that we learn that Ferenginar wants to join the Federation. And so Grand Negos, Rome, and Leeta arrive to the Cerritos for negotiations. And Rome is behaving like an idiot, and they make it look as if Leeta is making all the decisions for him because he's so dumb, and she's the real brains behind everything. But later it's kind of revealed that he's only pretending to be so stupid because it's part of the negotiations. It's like a good cop, bad cop situation to make the other side more flexible, and so it almost explains that continuity issue in Deep Space Nine, in which in the first few seasons Rom was being shown as being a complete idiot, and later on in the show it's revealed that he's actually a genius. And so here they show as if he likes to pretend to be stupid as an advantage for him, and so that was kind of clever. Even though I think in Deep Space Nine the whole idea was that he is still an idiot with people, he's simply a genius on a mechanical level, like he's good with technology and stuff like that. And yet here it's revealed, no, he's really clever, only pretending to be an idiot to gain an advantage. So it's not exactly the same as in Deep Space Nine, but there was some time gap in between, so maybe he became that way later on, maybe thanks to Leeta and other advisors, and maybe it's kind of a mixed situation in which he really is a little bit like that. He's playing it to his advantage, but he's not entirely faking it, because even in the very end, he still talks like a child about playing baseball and all of that, even after his so-called scam was over. He was still a little bit like that. And so overall I liked it. I liked the appearance of these characters, and we see the same aid as the previous Grand Negos had. It's not clear if it's the exact same character or simply another one of his species who I guess love to serve Ferengi leaders for some reason. And we see some of the favorite Ferengi dishes like those tube worms and all that nasty stuff that Ferengi love to eat. And later in the episode we see Mariner holding a self-sealing stamp bolt from Deep Space Nine. And when we see Ferenginar, we once again see that Quark's apparently became kind of a franchise. We see the name Quark in all kinds of places that he owns, presumably. And we also see a place called Maximum Umok's Rub Dungeon. And so there's a huge amount of little details that make all of this really fun. And everything looks really faithful to those glimpses of Ferengi that we saw in a few episodes of Deep Space Nine. We see those round doors and everything made of gold. And also you have to pay for every little thing with coins, even going to the toilet in your own hotel room, you have to pay for each time you go and all of that. So that's really funny. And also the whole parody aspect of our society, like Boimler goes to that hotel and activates the view screen just to check if it works, and then he starts watching the commercials, and it was really funny to see like the Ferengi version of our commercials and TV shows and soap operas and cop shows and all of that stuff was really funny to me. And Boimler gets kind of addicted to the TV, so he planned to go on a tour on Ferenginar and review all kinds of places, but then he gets stuck just watching their TV and almost gets brainwashed by it. And they show that they even have commercials inside of their movies, and then Boimler says, oh, this is like brainwashing, and in that moment behind him we see something that looks suspiciously similar to the Paramount logo, and then the stars kind of blink when he says that, so that's supposed to be some kind of a subliminal poke against Paramount, I guess. And meanwhile, we see Rappaport and Tandy pretending to be a couple because they go to review some hotel which is for couples. And at first it's funny to them, but then they discover it's really awkward and they start blushing and stuff, and so they want to stop doing that, but then they discover that it's a capital offense on Ferenginar to pretend to be something you're not to get a discount, and so because they already got the Ferengi discounts for married couples, then they have to keep pretending, and the Ferengi make it harder and harder for them to do that, so that was kind of a funny situation, and also nice character development, because they have been kind of teasing this possibility of them actually becoming a couple, because they keep showing how good of friends they are and how they love the same things and they love spending time together and really friendly with each other, and so it was kind of teased from at least a few episodes ago. And so here they're put in a situation in which they have to pretend to actually be a couple. So maybe it will lead to them actually becoming one later on. And so it was kind of a funny situation in which they have to keep pretending as not to get caught by the Ferengi. And another interesting detail in the background is how some Ferengi females are apparently still walking around naked, because we see some naked ladies in the background of a few locations. And in the last season of Deep Space Nine, it was stated that there were reforms on Ferenginar that women no longer have to be naked all the time in public. However, it doesn't mean they cannot still be naked if they want to, so I guess it's okay to see some naked women in the background, since that was in their culture for hundreds of years, and so it's not so easy to change the whole culture, and no one ever said that they now have to wear clothes everywhere, only that they can if they want to, so it makes sense that some women we see are dressed and some are not, and so that was also an interesting detail, and I just love all that attention to detail. And even in the first scene when we saw that Ferengi spaceship, we saw them using those red balls as their controllers, even though I guess it's kind of a continuity mistake, because that was in the first season of TNG when we saw Bok using such a device, but that was a device that he used to control Picard's brain or something, so it doesn't have to be the exact same as their other control panels and all of that. It also reminds me of some of the ships we saw in Stargate SG-1, which also had some similar controllers that you have to hold some red ball to pilot the ship. And I also liked how this episode has some internal continuity, because Mariner meets up with her Ferengi friend that we saw a few seasons ago, and then they go to a Ferengi public library, which is more like a casino, which is also funny. And then she gets drunk and starts some trouble, and then he talks with her about why is she being that way, why is she so angry about something all the time, and so it's kind of building up to something that maybe later on will be explained more properly. Why is she behaving in such ways? And they go around Ferenginar some more, and we see like a memorial to lost prophets, which was funny. And so I think this show was the perfect setup to show more of Ferenginar, to show all this silly stuff, which will be hard to take seriously in an actual serious Star Trek show, so it was the perfect setting. And also these parodies, especially with Boimler watching TV and getting addicted to it, and then he has to be evacuated by force from his room by Ferengi guards who are using those energy whips that the Ferengi had in the first season of TNG. And the Tandy and Rappaport stuff was cute as well, that they're being forced to pretend to be a couple and they find it awkward. And the Rom and Leeta stuff was fun as well. I loved hearing the same actors are back in their roles, and I loved how it felt like an actual continuation of Deep Space Nine, at least that part of it. And I hope they do more stuff like this in the future. So that's all I had to say about it for today. Let me know what you think, and we can discuss it in the comments below. And I will see you all next time. Bye bye.